Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I'm Gregory Fedora. With me today is Dee Buchanan of Dee Buchanan Studio Dance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been like a year in the making.
It has.
Because I've wanted to have you on for a while because I think your story is really cool and what you do for the community is amazing. So I just really wanted to get into it. So
great.
You own Dee Buchanan Studio Dance.
I do.
And it's been around now plus 30 years. You
right.
just finished
but I did rent the space starting July 1st.
Okay.
So I guess we're still really wrapping that 30th right now for a couple more weeks.
Okay, cool. Well, you're heading into 31.
We're heading into 31. We really are.
So my question, like I kind of know that this wasn't what you started out thinking you do, but how did this progress? Like, what were you originally planning to do with your life?
Well, when I was really young, I wanted to be a florist. But then after that, I wanted to be a lawyer. So that was my path when I was in college. And I went to Hood College and majored in English and law and society. And I was ready to take my LSATs. I did take my LSATs and apply to law schools. I was ready to take that whole path. But I had danced recreationally growing up. And by recreationally, I mean I just always thought that I was just doing it on the side for fun to have an activity and something that I was passionate about outside of my studies. And I was at Hood for maybe one day before I found the dance club that they had there. And I spent probably more time participating in things with that than almost anything else on campus. I loved it so much. And so we had a great 4 years together, a bunch of us who had grown up dancing and, working on shows together and doing some community projects and things. And then when it was time for me to actually close the door on it, I realized that was going to be a big mistake because there wasn't anything else that I loved as much as that. So I dreaded telling my parents because they'd really invested in helping me be the kind of student that I needed to be to go do this law thing. And so I sat down at the kitchen table with them and said, I'm really sorry. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I really think I have to stick with this dance thing. And my mom was like, oh, thank goodness. It's about time. We've been waiting for you to figure this out. So I took it a year after that, I guess 2 years, working part-time, a lot of different dance studios, fitness centers. I was teaching aerobics, doing all the things locally and saving money to open. And my mom actually was the one who saw the for rent on this space and said, we should go look at this. So in 1992, we walked in and signed on the dotted line. That was how we started.
So that's cool that your parents were supportive.
Very.
Like that they knew where you were supposed to be, but allowed you to
figure it out.
Yeah, on your own instead of being like, because I wonder if they had to say, you should do dance, if you would have rebelled. And
I would have, because it's not a practical decision when you've gone through school thinking, grades and success and academics. And, this is spinning around in your head too. I think I would have told them all the reasons that was a terrible idea. So
now the studio, it's grown beyond just dance. Like you offer so much now. Like even summer programs. Like what are some of the things you guys do here besides dance?
One of the first things I guess that we added was our worship dance group. That started maybe 29 years ago. And then soon after that, we added our Nutcracker Ballet, which is still very dance focused, right? But that became a big part of our season for our dancers and our comp team. Then I want to say, I think this is our 10th year coming up for our magical musical adventure. And that was when we really started looking at triple threat and singing and acting and those as being a part of what we wanted the kids to experience. So that 1 week camp was the beginnings of that. Then we expanded to DBTE and we brought Lisa Dodson in to do vocal lessons. And so our DBTE, Dee Buchanan Theater Experience, we've done, I think, 10 shows now as well. We've done a couple a year in different years, so it hasn't been around for 10 years yet. But Mary Poppins is on the horizon for this August, and we're really excited. So that took us into that triple threat thing. We've done other things too, like kind of expand our acro offerings and go do some training with this Canadian organization that's fabulous. And then we got RhythmWorks certified so that we could work with kids who learn differently and help them with motor skills and socialization and all sorts of things. So that's been one of our most recent things. And now we have a boutique. Yeah. We added on one more time, and a costume shop for Miss Denise, because Miss Denise, let me tell you, has been working in crowded spaces for as many years as she's been our seamstress, and now she actually has some space to work. Exactly.
So, well, I want to ask about the RhythmWorks because I've seen the results of it, and it is pretty amazing because I believe you work with a lot of autistic kids who don't really interact well oftentimes with others, and here they're doing a routine with others, and they're able to do, and a lot of times I know because I've worked with autistic kids that kind of stimulation can throw them off, and yet they're going up on stage and stuff and doing it, and they're able to do it, and it's that, like, how did you figure, or where did you learn about this?
It is this program. The program itself, the certification, the person who runs it takes you through all of the different ways that students learn and talks about ways of talking to them. And then when you need to give them like a touch direction, that just doing it even with flat hands, that they feel safe. They don't feel anything aggressive about that. And so they feel very confident in their space. And so there are just a lot of tools to how to help students. And we use it with all of our students, like how to help students feel safe in their space and to be able to explore some of the things that are new and different to them. And there are things even like, just like crossing your midline, like being able to take your foot across your center that can, for some children, be a big challenge. So there are little steps in the curriculum that help you work up to that. And so that's not something that anybody in an audience would probably know to celebrate, but we know to celebrate it, right? When they've taken that step for the first time and they've achieved something like that. And it starts when you work with the students initially, you work with them individually a couple times. And so you find what their comfort level is and what it's going to take for them to enjoy the experience. Then you put them together in small groups and you try to help them learn to rely on one another as a supportive friend who's also learning. So it's remarkable, and we were really fortunate to find it.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Like, I've seen the outcome of it, and I was like, that's fascinating. Yeah. Like, now, the boutique, was that kind of, I know you opened it up during the pandemic timing. Was that
right at the end of the
was that kind of opened up as a necessity, or that you thought of? Because I know, because I have dancers in my family, as you know.
Right.
And so finding apparel, finding shoes and stuff during that time period, it became super difficult.
It did.
Because a lot of places would not open. You had to do special appointments, and it came really hard. And then it got to, you had to order online, and then you hoped it fit, and then 90% of the time it didn't. You had to send it back.
Exactly.
I'm curious.
We, a number of years ago, had actually opened a boutique within our lobby. Like, it was just kind of a couple of racks, and we had the uniform attire that we needed for the kids. And parents appreciated the convenience, but we didn't have the space or the staffing. Like, we were all just, everybody was somewhere all the time. And to be able to make it a really good service, we just weren't able to do everything we needed to do. So we ended up eliminating it for a while and using outside means to get our uniforms and sending the kids places. And it's hard that way. It's so much easier if they know they can just come to you and say, has she outgrown these? Or like, can we get through recital on this pair of shoes? And we're like, yeah, get through recital, So, but it's just so much easier when we can actually be that one stop. So when the space became available, the combination of everything that was going on with the challenges of people trying to find what they needed, and the fact that we knew we liked it when we had done it before, it just couldn't quite, fit it all together. So, but at this point, staffing wise, we're good, because when I mentioned RhythmWorks, like Miss Allie and Miss Sarah do so much of the work with that. And then, my daughter Abby does so much with DBTE. And then I've got a giant support staff. So I can say, Denise, here's your costume shop. I've got Miss Sandy and Miss Lori and Miss Colleen. And we have who we need now to be able to take care of those things. If we couldn't have done it, if we didn't have enough people in place, it wouldn't have mattered if the space was there, because you just can't take care of everybody's needs, But yeah, it's been a shipping challenge. You know, we've had to do a few substitutions at different times still, but hoping we're coming out on the other side of it.
Now, another thing I know that you do, and I don't know this is because I've never dealt with any other dance studios, but you train the dancers you have to take on leadership roles where they end up teaching the youngers and being mentors. And so I don't know if that's unique to you, but why did you think to do that? When did you start doing that? Where you were bringing in the
long
students?
time ago.
Really?
A long time ago. Well, Miss Annie was a student with me the very first week that I opened, and she became one of my very, very first employees. You know, right? She was one of the very first teachers I ever hired, and so I love when and I love having teachers who have the right heart and have, you know, a like mindset from anywhere. It's all great, but having those who have grown up here and kind of have that like mind about what's important for us, you know, what we want the kids to feel when they leave their dance class and what we want them to feel about their successes and that sort of thing. So, yeah, we have a young teacher program, and we have like between 8 and 14 of them any given year. And then they also take on, if they compete, they are our teen creative team with the competitions. And so our staff does not go backstage. Our teens take care of handling everything with the competition directors. And they're good at it. They're really good at it. As a matter of fact, we went to 3 competitions this year that offer a Studio of Excellence award. It's something that, like, the competition circuit has to be approved to be a part of this organization where they're allowed to even give that award. And a number of competitions do it. But we were at 3 events this year that offered it, and we were that studio at all 3 of those events. And it's voted on by the staff at the competition. And I fully credit our kids with that, because that's who's doing the communicating with them. That's a direct result of how they've handled themselves with those adults, which I think speaks volumes about them.
Well, I think it's important, especially like in today's world. Like, a lot of times kids are so just on cell phones and whatever. And so their communication skills are really lacking, especially with someone older than them. They don't want to make eye contact. They don't. And look, the students here, like, if you ask them a question, they look at you and they talk to you. They know how to talk with adults. They know how to talk with each other.
Yes.
And I think dance does do that, because you have to be able to communicate with each other, like what you're going to do next.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Like, if you're just staring in space, you're gonna.
Right. And no, when I take them on, you know, if we're headed for a field trip somewhere and I have a few of the kids in my van, nobody's on their phone. They're all eyes out, talking to me, having conversations. You know, it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's great.
So I'm curious. I mean, been doing that. I mean, you've danced longer than 30 years, but your studio's been open 30 years. What is a memory that you have that it just, when it happened, it really came together in your head? Like, I'm really doing this. Like, I'm this
First
studio.
First recital, because I had grown up being in recitals every year, and it was always such a big deal to me as a kid. And so I remember my mom and I planning that first one out. Like, it was a train, Sentimental Journey. It was a train ride, and we did it. We tried to make it realistic, because when we got to Kansas, we ended up in Oz, so it wasn't realistic, but realistic in that the train went around the country and ended up back. Like, we did the dances in an order. We didn't go California, Florida. You know, we were visiting different places in the country and ended up back at home. And she had worked out a script that had like a conductor, and he kept telling us where we were stopping and that sort of thing. And when the whole thing ended, and I got up the next morning, I remember being so sad that it was over, right? Just like after any show, you just crash and you're so sad because it was such a great experience. And then I realized, like, this is what I get to do now. Yeah. Like, I can pick next year's theme tomorrow if I want. I decided not to. I took a little rest. But, like, I mean, that's just what I get to do. And so that show happening and seeing all those kids and their families having such a great time. And that was before email was a big thing. So I got a lot of like handwritten notes that year and things like that. So
now, one of the other things I know, and it's cool that you're getting to do something you really love to do every day. And a lot of people don't get to do that.
It's true.
A lot of people, like, had you gone the route of being a lawyer, you'd be a lawyer. You'd probably be great at it. But I don't know that you'd have the passion and love that you have for this.
Right.
But you do it, and I know you as a person, you keep doing it because that's the way you'd be like, this is my job, I gotta do it. Right. But you have a lot of passion and love for what you do. And I think a lot of people miss out on it because they think, oh, I gotta get a job, as opposed to finding a career. I think there's a big difference and a thing you're passionate about. Yeah. But do you have another favorite memory about your personal dance experience?
Oh gosh.
I know there is a story because I've heard one, but I don't know if that's your favorite.
I don't know which one you've heard.
You were in New York. Oh. And I think it's a cool story.
I took my older dancers to New York. We went over to Steps to take classes. There used to be a 10-class punch card you could get, and we'd take 5 classes on Saturday, go to Carmine, 5 classes on Sunday, last train home. And so it's exhausting to take 5 classes in a day. I couldn't, at this point, that wouldn't be my thing. But I did it back then with them. And so, so some guy came up to me in the hall at Steps, and he said, we want you to come audition for the MTV Video Awards. We need backup dancers. And I was like 30, I think. And I had these great, 17, 18-year-olds with me. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. But I actually have some dancers here who I feel would maybe be great if, I don't know what your minimum age is, but they're all 17 and 18. He's like, no, we're not. We're actually trying to pull all, 20-somethings, 30-somethings. We don't want it to be teenager looking. We want adults for this. And I was like, oh, that's very sweet. He said, well, take my card. This is just where you need to show up, and you would do the paperwork there. So I went to dinner with the kids, and I'm laughing about it. And they were all like, so we're going, we're all going to sit in the lobby while you do this. And I was like, no, I think we'd miss our train. And they were like, there's a later train. You're absolutely doing this. So it was the kids who got me to do it. And yes, and I did. I got the call. I came home and I got the call. They were like, yeah, they loved you. They want you to come dance as a backup dancer for Fat Boy Slim.
That's awesome.
Backup dancer for Praise You. It was my big moment.
I mean, that's awesome. That is awesome.
It was an awesome experience. It really was. I can't understate it. It was great. It was shockingly great.
So now, you've obviously trained thousands of kids. I would have to assume, because there's over 100 plus now, and 30 some years of that. Sure. How many have gone on to do it professionally, or either are starting their own studios or doing it professionally in some capacity?
It's a small number, because a lot of them do it because it is their favorite extracurricular thing. And that's a great reason to do it, right? Yeah. They don't need to do anything else. But no, we have got, there are a couple of dancers who have opened their own studios and are very happily doing that. We have some dancers who have gone down to Disney and worked in shows down there, like Beauty and the Beast. And one of our former dancers is Indiana Jones and the Stunt Show. And we have dancers on cruise ships. They've done summer stock. They've done national tours, working in New York. And so it's not a high number. And I think that's really important for people to know when they sign up, not just here, but anywhere for a dance class, is that we're not going to look at the 4-year-old and be like, let me tell you what you need to do with your life. That's not it at all, right? There's so many things you can get from your dancing. And if it's your passion, by all means, go for it. But it can just be the thing that you love to do for you, while you also go and do this other great career.
Yeah. Well, I know here at the studio you have dancers from the age, I think, 3?
2.
It's now 2. All right, 2 all the way up to in their late 70s.
Late 70s.
So, obviously the people in their late 70s, they're still doing it because they love it.
Exactly.
And it is a fun activity. And it brings...
I don't know if you've heard about our adult program, but...
Yeah, well, tell people about the adult program.
It's booming. I have some great dancers who do a great job promoting it.
They do... The adult program, I have to say, I've seen their stuff, and they are amazing. You have a couple guys. This year you only had one guy, and he was phenomenal. He was a blast to watch.
I concur. I feel that way about it. But it's great. And that is really what we want most of all. And I do love it when kids get back to me and say, I'm performing. I'm going to get to tour with so and so. That's just, I'm beyond excited for them. But equally excited to have people just do do what they love, right?
And I know some of your students come back in the summer and take classes, even though they've graduated. They just want to keep dancing. They just love it. And I do know some of them are taking like dance at college or on dance team. So they're still doing it, and whether or not it goes professionally, they're enjoying it, and that's
right.
Now, I know you're busy, so this is my last question for you. So, if you came across someone who had the passion you have for dance, or someone that's listening who has a passion for dance, what would your advice be to them about pursuing it either professionally as a dancer or opening a studio? What would your advice be to them?
That if it's really your passion, then you need to listen to yourself. You need to. And you need to talk to all the people who have done it all the different ways and figure out what feels like a fit. Right before I decided to do this, I had a call from somebody offering me a job that would have been a great right out of college job. The hours weren't great. It was, pretty crazy, but the work itself would have been perfectly fine. And I should have probably taken it. And I just kind of felt sick. Like it didn't resonate. And so I put them off, and then I eventually declined because it didn't resonate. Yeah. That was it. And then as soon as I said what I really felt, all of the ways that it could work started to come into play. And that's not to say there aren't a gazillion obstacles, because that's true for everything. Yeah. But it's worth it. It's worth it if it means that much to you. And that's just true for dancers, right? I mean, they are passionate about it. So they have to decide then, what is my next thing after this? Am I just going to maybe be a great audience member and go see shows when I can? Or am I going to dance, maybe with like an adult company somewhere, or take adult classes so I can still participate recreationally? Do I want to be a dance teacher? Do I want to perform? Do I want to be a dance therapist? Just lots of choreographer, assistant choreographer. I mean, on Broadway, they have people who are there literally just to remind them what the choreographer said 2 weeks ago. They're just the person who's there to say, you guys, they said to do that on 8 and nobody's doing that, and that's their niche. So they got to figure it out and do it if it means that much to them.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, I thank you for coming on. I'm glad you were able to find some time, because I know you are super busy, and
me too.
You're about to bust into nationals, and then the summer
program. Yes.
So it's exciting. I'm excited to see what happens next at your studio, what you might open next, or how you'll expand.
Maybe we're going to hang right where we are for a bit.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, it's good to take a pause, because you have done so much, and since I've known you, it's exploded in many directions that I'm just like, wow, I don't know how you keep up with everything you're doing. But you have a great support staff, not just your staff, but your family.
I really do.
Because they're a part of this too.
Yeah.
Again, so shout out to Rick, because he moves a lot of set stuff. So I've seen that. So I just wanted to get that out there. So that,
obviously. Yeah.
But thank you again.
Thank you.
And for those of you listening or watching, thank you for stopping by. And remember to, as always, stay safe and keep searching.
Check out FedoraCRT.com today.